Hello, everyone. So, today we will start with Unit 5 with our new lesson, A Valentine. It's a poem written by the poet Edgar Allan Poe. Now, before we start analyzing the poem, there are some poetic terms that you need to be familiarized with in order to understand the poem or future poems in general. Now you need to differentiate between literal and figurative language. Literal language, the meaning in literal language is direct, and the writer says exactly what she or he means. While in figurative language, the meaning is hidden, it is beyond the written words. So, for example, when I say it's raining cats and dogs, if we take this phrase literally, it's impossible. It's impossible that cats and dogs will be falling from the sky, right? So here we have a deeper meaning. So we are using here a figurative language because we have a deeper meaning, a hidden meaning. It's raining cats and dogs means it's raining heavily. And that's why here we decide that we are using figurative language. Now, in figurative language or in poems, while writing or reading poems, there are some sound devices that you will notice that you need to be familiar with. So, for example, you have the rhyme. It is the repetition of the same or similar sounds occurs in two or more words, usually at the end of the lines in the poem. So, you look at the poem, you look at the last words in each line, and sometimes you feel that there are some rhyme or they have the same, somehow the same pronunciation and whatever. So look at this example: skylight and twilight. You feel this music, this rhyming. So this is what we call rhyme. Now, the alliteration, it's the repetition of a consonant sound at the beginning of words. You need to be focused here that it's at the beginning of words we have alliteration. So, for example, look at this example here. Sam saw something spooky. As you notice, we have the consonant, the repetition of the consonant S at the beginning of each word in this sentence. So here we have alliteration. But if you have the repetition of a consonant within the word or at the end of word, you have what we call consonance. It's the repetition of a consonant sound within or at the end of the words. For example, truck, rocket, thicket. Now, the repetition of a vowel sound is what we call assonance. Look at this example here. The cat sat on the hat. We have the repetition of the vowel A in many words like cat, sat, and hat. Now, let's go back to our poem. Before we start analyzing the poem too, you need to be familiar with some terms also. The poem that we are reading here is called an acrostic poem. Why it is or what is the definition of acrostic poem? It's the poem in which the words of the poem are written so that certain letters spell out a hidden word or name. So, in this poem, like as if you are dealing with a riddle, okay? And you are trying to solve this riddle. That's why, and since the riddle is your poem, then the letters will spell out the answer, which is a hidden word or name. You need to differentiate between denotation and connotation. Denotation, it's the word's literal meaning. So, for example, look at the word innocent. It means free from guilt. Now, the connotation of the word innocent, or the implied meaning or the implied emotion of the word innocent, it's the lacking in worldly knowledge or experience, or in other words, naive. the meaning of innocent. The connotation meaning of innocent means naive. Now, our poem for today is a love poem. It is written by our poet, Edgar Allan Poe, to his secret lover. Now, I told you before that we're dealing with a riddle, right? And our riddle here is to find out the name of the lover, the name of the secret lover of Edgar Allan Poe. And as I told you before, since we're dealing with a poem, then the answer will be between the lines of this poem. Okay? Now, a repetition, you will notice that we have repeated sounds or repeated words in this poem or in the future poems that we're going to read. The repetition, the use of repetition in poems, it's either to emphasize the ideas, to create rhythm, as I told you before, the sound, the music, or as in our poem Valentine, it's knowing that the poem is acrostic poem, then we are searching for clues about how to solve the riddle of the name. So here, it's the repetition works as hints to give us the answer of our riddle. Okay? Now, let's start reading and analyzing the poem. Let me tell you that it's a really nice poem to read. So, for her this rhyme is penned, whose luminous eyes. This is the first line. Brightly expressive as the twins of Leda. The persona, when I say persona, it's the narrator in the poem, okay? We call the narrator in the poem a persona. The persona says that this poem is made and is dedicated for her. For whom? His lover. He is describing her eyes. They are so beautiful as the eyes of a very beautiful woman in another story that is called Leda. Okay, so now we know that this poem is dedicated to his lover. Do we know her name? No, not yet. Shall find her own sweet name, that nestling lies upon the page, enwrapped from every reader. So here he starts giving us some hints. Shall find her own sweet name, so you will find her beautiful sweet name. Where? Lies upon the page. In the poem. It's hidden in the poem. From whom? From the readers. Search narrowly the lines. They hold a treasure, divine, a talisman, an amulet. Okay, so what is the treasure? What does he mean when he say they hold a treasure? The treasure here means her name. You will find the treasure, which is her name, where? In the lines of the poem. This treasure is divine, talisman and amulet. It's charming, it's sacred, it's magical. That must be worn at heart. It should be memorized, forever. Why? Because it's very special. Search well the measure, the words, the syllables. The persona here is asking you to search within the measures, within the words of the poem, within the syllables of this poem. Do not forget the trivialest point, or you may lose your labor. Do not miss anything, or else you will not find the treasure. And again, what is the treasure? His lover's name. And yet there is in this no Gordian knot, which one might not undo without a sabre, if one could merely comprehend the plot. The persona says that you might not figure it out without using a knife or a sword, which is the meaning of a saber. Why? To cut out the letters. As I told you, this is an acrostic poem. That means the letters spell out the answer of the riddle. So you need a knife or a sword to cut the letters in order to figure it out, the name he means. And written upon the leaf where now are peering eyes, scintillating soul, there lie peered us three eloquent words of uttered in the hearing of poets by poets, as the name is a poet's too. Okay, so he keeps giving us hints. The name is written on the paper. Which paper that you are looking at right now? It means it's written on or in the poem, okay, that you are reading right now. Within lively eyes, you lie lost. You are looking, okay, you are using your eyes, but still you are confused, you are lost, you cannot find the name. Three eloquent words of uttered in the hearing. Three eloquent words here means it's her full name. So you're gonna find her first name, her middle name, and her last name. Where? In this poem. And it's saying that she is as well a poet. So three names, her name and her character also. She is a poet. She is a famous, well-known poet. That might help us a little bit. Its letters, although naturally lying like the knight Pinto Mendes Fernando, still from a synonym for truth cease trying. You will not read the riddle though you do the best you can do. The letters of her name in the poem are standing out like how the knight Pinto Mendes Fernando, like they are so obvious as this soldier here. Still form a synonym for truth cease trying. Yani do not cease trying. Keep looking for the name. You will not read the riddle, though you do the best you can do. Yani you might not get the riddle, you might not answer it, but at least you did your best to do so. So, before this is the analysis of this poem. I want you, in order to figure out the lover's name and to answer this riddle, to open your books and do the following. Here I couldn't because of the space, but I want you to do the following. I want you to circle the first letter in the first line, the second letter in the second line, the third letter in the third line, the fourth letter in the fourth line, the fifth in the fifth line, and so on. And then you will discover the name of the lover. She is, as he says, she is a well-known, famous poet. So tell me what you found when you do what I told you. Thank you for your good listening. Have a good day. Bye-bye.